going to be first to the floor here.
First to the floor podcast. Shout out to Australia.
Jordan Crawford, nice move with the dribble.
Here's driving on Stoudemire. The jumper, yes!
Oh, what a diving save by the guard.
Yeah! Boston wins! Tatum drives down and throws it down!
You guys are talking about a dynasty. Here's where it is, right here.
That's enough for the tie.
The best team in the world right now.
Marcus Smart at the buzzer.
Fireman in the deck.
Wayne Spooney here for the First to the Floor podcast. My power company is a First to the Floor fan because I was without power for the last 30 hours, and at like 7:40 today, it came back on. Our fridge restarted, our AC restarted, and then I started the pond. I am joined by Jake Eisenberg. Jake, what's up, buddy?
We did it, man. The people have been dying, thirsting for Wayne Spooney's reaction to the Jaylen Brown trade and the draft picks of the Boston Celtics, Chris Senak and Dylan Mitchell. Man, it has been quite the week, quite the month in what is usually a very quiet time in the offseason for the Boston Celtics. So on one hand, we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, run me through. Where were you when it hit the tower?
Okay, so I had to go to Nashville starting on Monday. It's an 8-hour drive. I drove it, left Monday at like 6 a.m. I got there, put my stuff down, started going to the conference. 3 days of conference. I presented at the second to last session, so I couldn't even really duck out early because I literally had to present. I presented, got in my car, and immediately drove 8 hours on Wednesday, starting from Nashville at like 5 p.m. So somewhere in Kentucky, I got an alert on ESPN, and I'm like, what is going on? And of course, it was the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown. Immediately text my buddy while driving. It was Kentucky, middle of the night. Nobody's on the road. My car has like all the bells and whistles to keep me in the lane. It was safe-ish. I'm like, tell me what the draft picks are. Yep. And he just goes 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And immediately I get on Twitter and tweet. Yeah. I tweet Mookie Betts because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. 2 fucking picks. That is crazy. What a horrible return. And then later that night, as I'm driving between Huntington, West Virginia, and Charleston, West Virginia, Sam Vecini's pod goes live with him talking about it. And he explains what those draft picks are. And he explains that it's basically the Clippers pick. If it's if it's the Sixers 1 through 8, we get that. If the Sixers do not land 1 through 8, we get wherever the Clippers land. That is, for my money, one of the most valuable picks in the NBA, especially one of the most valuable picks owned by a team that is not the original team owning it. That is a completely different calculus when you're evaluating what you've gotten back in a trade from an asset standpoint. People saying like, oh, they got the same as Kawhi or blah, blah, blah. I mean, I would maybe, I guess, but I would so much rather have that Clippers pick than the picks they got out of it. And I bet the Clippers would too.
And the 2031 Sixers pick.
Yep. Lottery
ticket.
Like
lottery ticket. If you're picking a team that's more likely to be better, they're probably even-ish, but Jaylen will be 35 at that point. So
yeah, I mean, Maxi's probably still going to be around, but it's the Sixers, man. Like every time good things happen to them, it blows up in their face. So once the initial just sort of emotion and I love Jaylen. He's been here for a decade. I think we have been defenders even in the worst of time for Jaylen Brown. But I started this offseason saying I was ready to move on. Like I'm just was done with the Jaylen Brown experience. And I do find it a little strange that he's not getting any, he's like the aggrieved party here, I guess, in the court of public opinion. In some ways, he kind of brought this on himself. And I say that because after we lost in heartbreaking fashion and blew the first 3-1 lead of ever in Celtics history, he said, this is my favorite season ever. And like, not only is that going to irk Tatum, but what I haven't really seen people talk about is Brad Stevens is a competitive psychopath. I guarantee, like, you hear these whispers and like flutters of like that didn't sit well with the organization. Brad Stevens is the organization. I guarantee he was like, fuck that. That is not the mentality we want on this team. And I think Jaylen has shown throughout his career, like, that isn't really who he is as a basketball player. But I think those comments, and then along with ruffling Tatum's feathers with like, oh, we finally started playing the way we had been playing in game 7, blah, blah, blah. Like, and not a very good playoff series and like not great 3 of the last 4 playoffs. I get, basically $60 million a year for the next 3 years. Like, to me, I think it was just time, and I'm good with it. Like, it is very rare for stars to stay with their team for their whole career. It's especially rare for co-stars to stay with their team, both of them to stay with their team for their entire career. So I just am like, I'm totally, you know what? I'll say it. I'm fucking excited. I'm really excited to see what this version of the Celtics looks like.
Wow. Okay. A lot there.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into all of it still, because this conversation's not going anywhere, is what I've learned over the past week or so. And people are starting to come around to a degree. It's not quite as bad, but like, it's one of those trades where it's like when the Celtics get eliminated from the playoffs. I hear from people once a year about the Celtics, and it's when they get eliminated. I hear from those people during the Jaylen Brown trade. And so it has escaped containment of like real NBA fans and gone to casual levels. And the average person is like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, my basketball group, like rec league chat, is like, Jake sucked in. I'm like, well, actually, the 5 year,
it's 1 through 8.
yeah, the 5 year wrap-em of Paul George. So there's a lot of nuance to it, and I guess we'll start. The Tatum part is something we haven't talked about on the pod too much yet, because we hadn't gotten like the Tatum anything at this point. On his own Instagram, we get like him at his camp in Vegas, working out with CP, hitting a game winner over some 17-year-olds. We eventually get the Jaylen Brown. I'm going to try and pull it up, because the Tatum Instagram goodbye to Jaylen. And again, everything about this situation is like the eye of the beholder. Because I'm trying to find it. Here we go. 9 years, exclamation point. Forever grateful for all that we accomplished together, for pushing me to be a better player, from first round exits to winning a chip together. I'm thankful for it all. Nothing but love and respect for you as a player and a person. Looking forward to see how you attack this next chapter of your career, and wish nothing but the best for you. Continue to be special. My initial on that was like classic Jayson Tatum PR response.
But then you see what he did for Robin Smart.
So that's the thing. So you compare that to Robert Williams. This one hurt. My brother right here. Toughest part about this business. Appreciate you for everything. Super proud of the player you've become, and excited to see how far you take it. Keep striving to be special and never change who you are. My dog for life till we link up again. Nothing but love. They're very different. And they're very different. And one part of this I'm very glad to be rid of. No more ever do the Jays like each other thing. And maybe the people that talked about this the entire time are somewhat vindicated, but like, it didn't matter really. That was the whole point of it. It was like the on-court product and impact was never a thing, and maybe the relationship did deteriorate a little bit towards the end.
How could it not?
How could it not? Because you talked about the favorite season comment. There's whispers about that being something that pissed him off. There was after they lost game 7 to the Sixers, Jaylen was asked about Tatum when he found out, and he said, "Oh, I only found out 45 minutes before the game." That apparently, like, how many times do we sit here and say it's a good thing Tatum's like super chill? Because if this was LeBron or like superstar diva X, that would probably piss him off. And even through the season, it was like, oh man, like, can we just not, Jaylen? Can we just not? And maybe eventually he was like, whatever, dude. I don't really care about it at this point. And so I think that was part of it. As Tatum and Jaylen it was ready for it to be the end.
Yeah, man. And the same stream, he said, like, that felt like we got back to being ourselves and the way we played basketball in game 7. Like that, it's justified for Tatum to be like, fuck this guy. Like, I think that's an absolutely justified response from him. And like, even Simmons during the season was calling it out. And he's like, I love how happy Jaylen is, but I wish he would throw in a, like, can't wait for my dog Tatum to get back. Yeah. I can't wait for JT. He never did that at any time throughout the entire season. And I really don't think that's a big deal in and of itself. But when you look at it in context of the things he then said after the season, I think it's totally justified for Jayson Tatum to be like, you know what? I'm over this shit, man. Like, and then you look at the stats of like when Tatum has super high usage and our win-loss without Jaylen Brown, his on-off net rating. And it's like, look, I, again, am a Jaylen defender. I think the on-off stuff, like, really needs a lot of context around it. And, the thing that's always lost is that we beat the shit out of people when Jaylen is on the court. Yeah. It's just our bench and Tatum units are fucking crazy, broken. But like, all of that does mean something. Does it mean we're better without Jaylen Brown? Probably not. Maybe. But it certainly indicates that, like, if you've got this sort of personality clash that's going on, and the numbers are telling you, like, it may be worthwhile to see what this looks like without him. Oh, and here's one of the juiciest picks that's on the market. Like, and you get a year of salary off the books because Paul George is only 2 years and Jaylen's got 3 years. Like, you can start, you have to accept the fact that, like, the personality clash was there. Like, without that, those other two things don't really matter. But with that, it all starts to make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And Jaylen, we were really high on Jaylen's regular season. And he absolutely earned, I thought, second team All-NBA. I was not willing to go into like the Cade conversations and stuff like that. But there was just a big drop between his regular season and the playoffs again. And 3 of the last 4 seasons, look at what happened against Miami. Look at what happened against New York last year. Obviously, he was injured. And then this most recent season, he was good in the first 3 or 4 games, but like, okay, we should be cooking at Mbona and Andre Drummond. When Embiid came back, his games 5 and 6 were horrendous. His game 7 was pretty good, but he was like, 24 points per game, negative assist to turnover, a -9, and like a 49% true shooting. And like, this was starting to become a problem. And the team has started to value flexibility in a way, especially in this new CBA era, you have to. It's just not feasible if you're paying the 2 Supermax guys. And if you're going to pay the 2 Supermax guys, he needs to play like a Supermax guy. You can't pay him like a top 5 player and he performs in the playoffs like a top 20 guy. Because he was lower, really. Yeah, exactly. Spoonie made a face if you're listening. And I think that's a big part of it. And so maybe we'll get into this too, but like the private equity part, maybe we'll just talk about like what we're on right now. But the flexibility of this team is going to allow them to do more stuff. And the Celtics are like Brad Stevens outside of the Jaylen trade. What else has he done? Signed Cater to $14 million per year extension after being like a legit starting center in the NBA. Mitchell Robinson to the mid-level. Look at the center market right now. You got Jock Landale. Cater's getting paid Jock Landale money, who I love.
I thought Jock got like 20 or something like that for 1 year. 14
full
for one.
Level. Pretty much full mid-level.
All right.
Walker Kessler's getting
a bajillion dollars.
I
think it's 5 for 134, whatever that comes out to.
Like the center market is crazy. And then so you bring in Robinson, you sign Cater to that deal. Ron Harper Jr. gets the 3 years for $9 million, who that might end up being like the most scammiest scam contracts of them all. If Ron Harper is as good as we think, like we're going to hopefully get to the draft picks later today. Like everything else, and it has been Brad Stevens doing peak Brad Stevens stuff. So if you hate the trade, do you think Brad Stevens just hit his head and made a bad trade? And then we're going to go back this way. Okay. Because I think the biggest criticism I've heard of all the podcasts that's driving me fucking crazy is the criticism is essentially just like, why didn't Brad get more? Why didn't Brad just do a better trade? Well, it's like, there's only so much you can do. It's not like he canvassed the league and took the worst trade. So if that's your criticism, the league decided that he's not a top 5 player. He's not a top 10 player. He's a top 20, 25, 30 player, and you're paying that player $57 million. You're handicapping yourself. I think it's a good trade for the Sixers because they need guys that play basketball games.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. But I don't think that there was a trade out there for Jaylen. You get these 2 high-level picks. Paul George comes off the books. Like he's the expiring contract next season, which allows you to really go big game hunting. And then I think they like the Paul George fit.
And they should. I mean, Paul George, when he plays, I said it, like if it's Mitchell Robinson, if it's Kata, whatever, but like Pritchard, White, Tatum, George, one of those centers is a nasty starting lineup, and it fits together just about perfectly. You can have Pritchard at the point of attack, White and Tatum as sort of your help side defenders, and Paul George as a help. Dude, that's a crazy help defense pair with Paul George, Tatum, and then one of the centers. Like that's a nasty backline defensively. But one thing I do want to hit on really quick, like the real Daryl, the only way this trade works out for Boston is if they win a chip within the next 5 seasons and Philly does not. I think that's the wrong way to look at it because this 2028 pick, what if it's the 3rd pick in the draft? Right? What if it's like Edgecombe or Dylan Harper or somebody of that level, right? That doesn't set you up for just the next 5 years. It sets you up for the entire next era of Celtics basketball, where you've got Tatum sort of aging into slowing down and becoming more of a second option. And then this young stud can kind of come up and be, your next superstar, right? So it's a long-term vision of this draft. It kind of reminds me of trading Pierce and Garnett for the Nets picks, right? It's the same idea. Obviously, Jaylen's younger. He's much, much better than those guys were by that point in their career. And it's a lower return. So it's a worse trade. There's absolutely, but the Nets trade is like the best trade ever. So like, obviously you can't really compare it to that, but it's the same kind of thinking, long-term thinking. And if you're like, well, this pick is looking to shoot more in like that 6, 7, 8 range, then, like you said, you can use Paul George's expiring, and a 7th pick has a shitload of value, man. And plus we have all of our picks that we can trade as well. And this 2031 Philly pick, like we've got a lot of ammo to go get somebody really, really good and then pair him with Jayson Tatum. And I know what people are going to say. It's that like, well, you could have just kept Jaylen Brown around. Yeah. But it sounds like, no, we could not have, right?
That's the other thing.
That's the problem, right? It sounds like, oh, get them in a room and figure this shit out. And it's like,
go to Toscana's.
Go to Toscana's. Yeah. Maybe everybody's just kind of like sick of having to figure it out all the time, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. And like, it's not a perfect fit. Jaylen's not a perfect player. Like, there's like Paul George, like peak Paul George fits better next to Tatum than Jaylen Brown does, right? So I think it makes sense to have the optionality, have less money on your books long-term, and have the chance at a complete lottery ticket that's a top 3 draft pick or an incredible trade asset to go get somebody else.
Yeah, they've got like 7 firsts to trade now. Like the Paul George being cooked thing, very possibly. It's really about creating more flexibility. And I think Brad just thinks this is the better way to win the title. So here's the other thing. People would probably don't want to hear if you don't like the Jaylen Brown trade. Did Jaylen Brown always want to did Brad Stevens always want to trade Jaylen Brown? So let's look at the timeline. 2021 season ends. the first round series loss to the Nets. Jaylen has the wrist thing. That offseason, Brad moves into his current position of president of everything. Ime Udoka comes in. The Celtics go all the way to the NBA Finals, further than Brad Stevens was ever able to take them. One of the youngest duos in Jaylen and Jayson to do what they have done and do what they did in 22. And what did he do that summer? He tried to trade Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He immediately, he didn't like get the job and immediately try and trade Jaylen in that first summer, but like they had their most successful season of the era at such a young age still, before the CBA had kicked in, and Brad Stevens was looking to move him for a Durant. And then after that, so you're like, oh, why did he sign him to the Supermax? Well, Brad Stevens, I think, thought that he was going to be able to get more for Jaylen Brown on his Supermax contract than just leaving Jaylen on a 1 year expiring going into the following season. On top of that, he knew that if you don't give Jaylen the extension, you start to poison the well. Brad Stevens went through the 2019 Kyrie era. I think that's part of the thinking, both with all of the contracts he handed out to the players that won the 2024 title, Jaylen, Drew, both of which were given contracts that the league was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And because it's just like make everybody happy. Brad Stevens saw July 26 coming. I see people in the chat still being like, the offers would have got better. Teams would have got desperate. Someone would have got injured. It's really fucking hard to trade for a $57 million contract and like make your team make sense afterwards. I think Brad thought he would get more for Jaylen when he probably signed that Supermax contract, but I just don't think that. So yeah, Brad, I think always wanted to get Jaylen out with a better fitting player, and I don't think it's a private equity conspiracy because they didn't save any money. I don't understand this at all. Like, yeah, they might be pieces of shit and tear the team apart. We're not going to find that out until the next offseason. They've saved $0 in doing this trade for Paul George.
Well, it is a private equity thing in the fact that the owners negotiated the CBA that we're in along with the players. So like in that aspect, I guess tangentially it is, but honestly, like with the penalties, with the tax and the repeater tax, like it just makes practical sense to be below the luxury tax this year. Frankly, we might have a little trouble getting back. I know you said this, you mentioned this briefly on the last pod, Jake. It's like, it can kind of be hard to get back up into like first and second apron territory once you're like below the luxury tax. But regardless, yeah, man, it's like, clearly Brad had some inkling that the Jaylen and Jayson fit was not perfect. And there's guys out there who fit better. I do think Paul George fits better. This version of Paul George is a worse player than Jaylen Brown. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I really don't think it's going to, like, we would probably have been, we would be a better team next year with just keeping Jaylen, obviously, but we didn't just keep Jaylen, right? We got assets and we cut a year off the salary. So yeah, I think it ended up being like $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah, because the 15% trade kicker.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Damn it, Paul George. How did you get that contract?
Yeah. What are you doing, Philly?
Yeah. So like one thing I don't want to engage in, and I've been seeing a lot of this, is like people on both sides on Twitter basically being like, so glad we got rid of this bum. And it's like Jaylen Brown lowlights. And then like the Jaylen fans being like, Tatum sucks. Like, look at these bad plays he had in the play. They're both fucking awesome. They're both great players. Tatum, to me, is better, right? And younger. So if you're picking one of the two, I would rather trade the older guy who's not as good, who just made a couple of crazy ass comments on Twitch right after you got 3-1'd in the first round by Philly. The only part of this trade that I absolutely fucking hate is that he went to Philly. Had the Clippers given this trade, I would be like even more in than I already am. But the fact that he's going to Philly absolutely sucks because I guarantee he's going to have an awesome first year. Like, there's no doubt in my mind this year he's going to be really good. Who knows?
Yeah, he's really good. Like it's a weird team.
It's a really fucking weird team, man. They're asking Jaylen a lot defensively, which
that's going to be, I mean, Steven in the Discord shared it, but it was like a real GM discussion board post. It's like talking about Jaylen. Here's how we make Jaylen the best version of himself. More dribble handoffs, more coming off screens. We limit the amount of time dribbling. Like all the things that we've been talking about for his entire career. It's like, buddy,
good luck.
Let me get ready to learn dribbling off your foot more than you'd like. But they do need Jaylen a lot more than they need Paul George, because the Celtics already showed last season they can sustain no Jay very easily. This team is a regular season wins machine, and I'm not really worried about that at all. When your team is built on 2 supermax contracts and neither of those guys play, and your depth is bad, that's when you get into some very serious trouble. They need Jaylen Brown 70 games. They need his like volume just scoring, but like the off-ball defense, Paul George is a much better defender than Jaylen Brown when healthy. Again, the when healthy part is real, and I don't know. It's I don't really know because you look at the Paul George game logs and it's like, well, his last year at the Clippers he played 74, he played 56, but then he only played 31. He played 41 and only played 37 last year, but he also missed 30 games or 25 plus because of the suspension. So if he had played 20 more games, he's like close to 60. Like what number for Paul George games played would you sign up for? Like how low of a number would you just sign up for before you'd roll the dice? Like I'm almost in like the 41 range. I'm like, oh, he's there every second game.
I was gonna say 50, which is like not really far off from 41. Yeah.
I would roll the dice at below 50 base. Anything with a 4 in it, I'm willing to roll the dice and see what happens. Because I do think he's gonna be on the Al Horford plan. It's gonna be like 26 to 28. I would imagine 27 and a half minutes per game is the line for his minutes for next season. Won't be playing back-to-backs. And I'm sure Philly fans are now saying like, yeah, get ready to learn Paul George random injury, buddy. So like, I understand that this kind of cuts both ways. Sources say PG has injured his toe. Yeah, the big left big toe. I almost got scared for a second.
I know, dude. Damn it, Sam.
Like that it was a real injury. And yeah, so I think Brad has thought that there's maybe a duplicative or just a way that Jaylen doesn't fit the way that they want to play in a way that he's now thinks that he can and he's excited to lean into like Pritchard and Derek and whatever the fuck Hugo Gonzalez is doing for Spain right now. Looks incredible. I'm very excited for next season. Because we get to kind of answer the question, well, what's the difference between last season if you replace Tatum for Jaylen? Because Jaylen was able to get up to 6th at MVP. And I know we've seen the usage stats for Tatum. And part of it is like when Tatum's cooking, then like you get a little bit, like the usage continues to go up. And part of that is just like, well, yeah, Jaylen not being there. But the record when Tatum has like above a 33% usage is absurd. I think I bookmarked that number.
Yeah, it's like 30-5 or something like that. I mean, it's a nutty number.
2025, they were 22-3. 2024, 18-3.
Yeah, okay.
2023, 33-1.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's like best team ever good.
Yeah, that's 55, 65, 73-7. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's actually fucked. It doesn't actually matter who you play.
No, dude,
that's crazy.
Nutty. Yeah. And like Brad obviously is a numbers guy. Like he's consulting the analytics, and I know people don't like to hear it, but Jaylen's like advanced numbers were bad. And again, need context. Jaylen is not a bad player. He's not the 7th best player on the Celtics, whoever the fuck that guy was who said that.
I know.
But it is, I think, evidence you could use in which to support your position that this might be a pretty good trade. And like Paul George, what? I just
realized how far past 17 minutes we are for Prize Picks.
Oh, damn it. All right, here, I'll get it into you. Do you have it up? We're going to get yelled at.
I'm pulling it up.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
We love
my
Prize
bad.
Picks. We're sorry, Prize Picks.
That's my
Yeah,
bad.
it's on me, dude. I'm technically hosting, and
Yeah.
we were just rolling, man. I want
Yeah.
to keep rolling here. So
Hey, it's Prize Picks time, baby, and we got WNBA, we got MLB, we got World Cup, Brazil. What happened? Tice crashing out in the Discord. Probably Norway probably should have gotten a red card in like the first 5 minutes of that game. I don't really understand why that didn't happen. But yeah, man, Prize Picks, great way to sprinkle some fun into your life. Your first time trying the app or experience so far. Let's tell us how you found some Prize Picks experiences. Don't forget that Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. You have stacks. I mean, you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you really like Peyton Pritchard more, which we might be hitting a lot next season, we'll be hitting that. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, a preferred partner of the NBA.
all right, really quick, I got some World Cup Prize Picks for you.
This game.
Tomorrow, biggest game in maybe United States history. We're on home soil in the round of 16 against Belgium, who we have history against in previous World Cups. I believe it was 2014. They beat us in the Tim Howard Minister of Defense game or Secretary of Defense game when he set the world record for saves.
Yeah.
Okay, but first game is Spain, Portugal, absolute banger, bitter rivals, Iberian Peninsula showdown. I'm going Lamine Yamal, the young Lamine, the boy wonder. More 1.5 shots on target. And then Belgium, USA, Christian Pulisic, more 0.5 shots on target. Just needs 1. Okay. And then we just found out Flo Balogun, our elite striker, playing the best footy of his entire life and well-timed for the World Cup. Probably the most talented striker we've had in American history. Actually, not probably. He definitely is. More 0.5 goals. He's going to bang in another one. He's going to win the Golden Boot, and we're winning the World Cup, baby. So that is $20 to win, $155.
Amazing. Yes, use code CLNS to get your $50 in lineups. All right. Back to Jaylen Brown. Jim Dickey. Celtics will finish top 3 in the East. Probably. It's kind of is what they do at this point. And they're deep. Like the Mitchell Robinson thing. So huge. It's a fucking bug flying around my face right now. I know. I forget what we were talking about before Prize Picks put a gun to our head. Who we love, of course.
Yes, of course. I'm not really entirely sure. I had just come off saying like both the Jays are great. We don't want to pit the Jays against each other. It is what it is, like blah blah blah. Oh, but let's talk about Mitch, because I know you guys touched on it briefly. But like, if Mitchell Robinson doesn't play a game for us, I still think it's a great signing just because he's not a Knick anymore. Is that crazy?
No, you're right. It massively hurts them. They've gone from Mitchell Robinson to Andre Drummond. Wonderful. That's huge. Now, how likely do you think it is that Joe can actually get him to take free throws underhand?
0%, even though like he absolutely, it's crazy to me people don't do it.
I tested it actually recently because I was like, maybe it's hard. It's not hard. It's just as easy as the other. I wouldn't say I'm better at underhand than overhand at this point, but if you're shooting 30% from the free throw line, literally try your feet. Like, how could it be worse? I think Drummond will be fine for them in the regular season. Like, set screens, rebounds, it's fine. But last 3 games of the finals, Mitchell Robinson was very he wasn't perfect, obviously. Like, pretty freaking tough matchup. Towns was in foul trouble, and Mitchell Robinson was able to help the Knicks win the title.
He's a stone cold playoff contributor that we know we can get 20 minutes out of a night. in the playoffs, right? For the mid-level exception. Like, again, Jock Landale got the mid-level exception. I know we love Jock on this show. I'd much rather have Mitchell Robinson, and it's not even close, right? To me, would you rather have him or Walker Kessler? Like, I mean, Kessler's a lot younger, but Kessler
third of the price.
Yeah, third of the price, and Kessler hasn't played a competitive game in his entire career. Like,
Crazy.
Mitch is like he's forged in the wars of the playoffs, man. Like, he can do it, and we know he can. And I do like that him and Keita are very similar. So it's like we're just running the same stuff no matter who's on the court. I would like a stretch big that's better than Garza to give us a different look. But, man, both Keita and Mitch are good. They're really, really good. 48 minutes of, like, top 10 center. Like, we have maybe the best 1-2 center punch in the league now. Other than like just insofar, obviously like Wemby, Cornette. Yeah, never mind. Thunder's definitely better. Shit.
Yeah.
We have a top 7 center rotation.
But the center market's speaking for itself. Like, these backup bigs are hard to find now. And people are valuing them. Like, the league is like, no, you need to have a good backup big because teams are getting so sophisticated offensively that if you've got a hole there, that's game over. Especially when you're talking about the playoffs. You can survive it in the regular season. Gaza, dog, gonna come in, and all three of these dudes, offensive rebound machines.
Yep.
And Keita wasn't playable. Lol. Look, if you've got questions about the playoff ceiling of this team, fine. That's the one place where maybe you end up missing Jaylen. But to that point, like, that's the most common thing I keep seeing. To people that start to come around on this trade are like, yeah, regular season, I see it, but playoffs. But Jaylen didn't do it in the last 2 playoffs. It's like 49% true shooting over his past 3 games. It's like, if you're going to be a guy whose number one thing is like volume scoring on like stable efficiency, doesn't matter. Preseason, regular season, playoffs, finals, doesn't matter the defense. I'm giving you 56 to 58% true shooting on volume. That has real value.
Oh yeah.
That's a hugely, hugely valuable trait. That was not the case though. 49% true shooting. Like, that's like always been the huge difference between Tatum and Jaylen. It's like, if Tatum's missing shots, he's just still so impactful. But yeah, so like playoff wise, I think Keita can be a lot better next playoffs. One, Joel Embiid can get anybody into foul trouble. To be fair, Keita was getting into foul trouble before Joel Embiid got back there. I think that's very fixable. The one dumb foul he committed every one of those games that put him into the foul trouble are incredibly avoidable. It was his first ever real playoffs. But that being said, do I have a question about whether or not Keita can be the starter on a team that wins the title? Yeah. But this, and I think there's a disconnect as well. After 2025, when Tatum tore his Achilles, they were always going to tear down this team, and it was going to be a 2-year rebuild, retool, whatever word you want to use, period. They were going to reset the repeater. Even if Jaylen was still here, their ceiling as like a legit title team was just not anywhere close to the same as the 2024 team. It was always going to be the next team. But we're talking about regular season and guys that can just defend at a high level and dominate the glass for 48 minutes. You're going to just rack up 55 wins.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with the depth this team has, too, with all the wings. But I will say, like Z Gamer says, regular season was never the concern with the C's, Jake. We want titles, not 55 win seasons followed by first and second round exits. Well, that's what we just did twice in a row. So, like, clearly that wasn't working, right? So your options are continue to try to do that with a largely similar team that just did that twice in a row, or make a drastic change and accumulate assets and go for it again in a year or two. And look, I don't think it's unreasonable to say I would rather have just kept Jaylen and signed Mitchell Robinson and gone from there. That's totally fine. I respect that opinion. Makes sense to me.
A month ago, we probably would have said that if you showed us the Paul George trade a month ago.
Maybe. But
that was before the relationship changed and before I don't know. We on its face, we would have probably vomited. But now when we've really dug into it, you can really see the vision.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you also have to understand, like it's completely reasonable to like not want to do that for the third season in a row, right? So Isaiah, if we want a drastic change, we should have gave up the
It's for
bums.
Giannis.
Oh, for Giannis. Okay. That's fair. I think that's a completely reasonable like way to look at it too. Um, X the 3L739 in 1985, the Celtics traded former NBA Finals MVP Cedric Maxwell from a team that had Larry Bird on it to the Clippers, in essence, for an aging Bill Walton, proceeded to win the 1986 championship. Sound familiar? First of all, thank you for the super chat. That's awesome. And second of all, hey, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
a lot of
Paul George
parallels.
is Bill Welton. I've always said that.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, like the thinking is similar, right? You go get a guy who is younger, or rather older, but maybe a better fit, and that propels sort of your next championship team. The problem is Paul George is just like 2 years too old. If he was like 33, then like we'd really be talking.
Go back and watch the Clippers 2023, 2024 highlights of Paul George, which, as Steven pointed out, it's just pre-Philly curse years. So like you gotta factor in the Philly curse exchange rate here, especially when dealing with the Celtics. Now, has it flipped? Considering that they just beat us in a 3-1 series, there is a weird cosmic thing, obviously, as you said earlier, with like trading him to Philly. Like that's a part of this that I definitely don't enjoy. Just to address the Giannis thing, it reminds me, it's the same thing with the deals would have gotten better. We don't know what the Bucks would have said yes to. Like there's no answer to that question. There was like semi-reporting about if you'd done Hugo, Baylor, and 2 more first-round picks, they would have said yes. The Bucks were right to value the Miami picks. I think I value apparently Jaylen Brown higher than the rest of the NBA, and was incorrect about his value. I think part of my dealing with this is that it's like I mourned the reality of Jaylen Brown before everybody else. Like Ben said it on the previous pod.
Yep.
Like Jake was telling me we were going to get fuck all for Jaylen Brown, and I didn't believe him. I was just there. I was there early. And once you kind of come to terms with that part, like there's no guarantee the Bucks trade was ever really there, and that we were not just being used as leverage for Miami to get 2 more picks, because they got them. Like what are the 4 Celtics picks do for you if you're Miami? You're going to pick in the 20s for every single one of those things, unless you get injury luck. Whereas like Giannis is already old and the Heat are currently bad last season. Yeah. Like they have not.
They don't have a team. They don't have a team right now.
They've not been proven to be a regular season wins machine like the Boston Celtics have proven to be. So I just think that there's so much like projecting ifs, and Brad Stevens was not dealing with that. Like it was not dealing with the reality, or you guys were not dealing with the reality of what was on the market. And I think that's where the biggest disconnect is coming for fans right now.
Yeah, totally agree. And at some point you just have to draw a line about like at this point, we're just not including more assets, and you either take our trade or you don't, right? Because like that's how you end up paying 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And obviously this is Giannis, and like maybe you say he's worth it. It doesn't matter. Trade the whole team. But then you have basically like a 2, maybe 3-year championship window, and it's over, right? And then you're like totally fucked. You're going into like Memphis territory, like full on rebuild. And if you don't win a title, it's not worth it at all. Like a good GMs say like, this is my stopping point. Like I have put everything on the table, and if you do not accept it, you just have to be comfortable with that. Go ahead.
Like I said, the comments here, like you just got older and more injury prone. This team isn't going anywhere before our first round exit. We just lost
in the first round.
We just had we were just first round exit team. It's not about right this season though.
Yep.
Get ready to enjoy my favorite TV show, the regular season Boston Celtics. I hate the playoffs now. I'm not fuck the playoffs. We have 1 year where it was great. Every other year, disaster. In the past like 5 years, 2022, sure, we had some awesome moments along the way. Jayson Tatum, game 6 against Philly, game 7 against Philly, game 6 against the Bucks. But it's like regular season, we beat everybody. It's wonderful. But it's always been for 27-28 and 28-29. That's what this CBA was designed to do.
Yep.
Not a single team has stayed in the second apron for multiple years. Not a single team has stayed in the repeater tax. And maybe to your point about private equity, that was what they always wanted, was a shield to hide behind. That might be true. But if you're asking the Celtics to be the only team that pays the repeater tax, well, I'm just now operating in the reality of the world that we live in, right?
Yep.
like you can yell that it's the Celtics, but it's everybody. Then have fun. But they were always going to reset the repeater tax, just like every team is resetting the repeater tax. You go into next offseason with 7 firsts, and then like and maybe, am I including swaps? It might be 7 picks plus swaps. If I pull up the trade machine here, like they've got so much ammo, and I think I saw Data Baller, and that's been another thing I've been enjoying. Has been like the divide in who is on each side, because which side do you want? Do you want the Kendrick Perkins side? Do you want the Brett Siegel side? Because if I can be bothered to make a list of which voices in the media are pro and con, and then you've got I haven't actually heard the full Vicini pod, but I think there's a variety of voices that are definitely more analytics driven that can see the vision for the Celtics, not just for this season, but for the future of this team. And I'm starting to like the team that I'm assembling on the analytics side. Data Baller made a point, like the Celtics are really fucking good, and Brad Stevens is really fucking good at pinpointing who to acquire. Derek White, got him for value. Pump his value up and you find a steal. Xavier Tillman for half a season or a game. Neemias Queta. These guys that he's drafting at the end of the first round. Ron Harper Jr. It makes it really difficult to use that skill and lean into that strength when you have the second Supermax guy on the books. And it goes back to like, if the second Supermax guy is impacting the game at a Supermax level, then it doesn't matter. But if Brad Stevens is so good at finding these guys at the end of the draft or undrafted free agents, then you want him to be able to use that skill. And having this Paul George expiring next offseason to either break, maybe he breaks it down into more pieces at the deadline, and then we start to get more flexibility that way. I think you want Brad Stevens to be able to do this, use this skill that he seems to have.
Yeah, and you just kind of need to clear some minutes for these guys too, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's not a justification for the trade,
Sure.
but like that is a downstream positive effect, is that like you're going to see Ugo and Baylor and Ron Harper Jr. get some like real ass minutes this season, because PG-13 ain't playing 82 games, man. I'll tell you that much. So like it gives you, it's what we said about Tatum not being around. It's like part of it's a blessing because all these guys are going to get run and we're going to find out what we have with them. Well, now we know what we have with them at the very least, and it's NBA players, but now we need to see how good are NBA players. And I think Ugo, like around the league, clearly has value, and people think he's got a chance to be a real guy, and we think he's got a chance to be a real guy. Now he has a clear spot in the rotation where a whole bunch of minutes just opened up. So I'm excited to see that as well. And yeah, like maybe the jury's somewhat still out on whether Brad's drafting, and then maybe this is a perfect segue into the next segment as we have 10 minutes left. Somewhat, but like just finding a guy of like Ugo and Baylor's level where like, hey, they're just going to be, at worst, probably like low end role players. That's a hit in the 20s, man, like the late 20s. So, not even only Brad, but the whole development staff with like what they've done with Hauser and Pritchard has just been ridiculous.
This is another thing I've been seeing is like the people analyzing these larger language models for AI don't even watch games. If you think that the nerds aren't watching the games, what do you think they're doing, dude? You think they're going out on the town at nighttime and going to the bars and hanging out with females? No, dude. They're the ones actually watching Wizards, Pelicans. These are the dudes watching the games. And I think I saw Jay King say this. Brad Stevens didn't just look at the 5-year wrap him. He has watched every second of Jaylen Brown's career as a coach and as a GM. And he's probably watched every second of Jaylen's career multiple times, probably some of the 7 to 8 times. No one knows Jaylen Brown better than Brad Stevens. And not only was he willing to trade him, he was willing to trade him to the Philadelphia 76ers. So, like, they didn't just spit out a fucking number and decide to move him. If you think that Brad Stevens was one of the best GMs in the league and a basketball savant a week ago, there's not really a huge reason to think that that's still not the case.
Totally agree. Movie short, fuck analytics, man. In the 80s or 90s, did analytics win you games? The Jordan team's grayed out is like the best teams ever. Yeah. It's like through these analytics. So like they're telling you something. I think those Rockets teams and the Pistons teams also grade out like absurdly high on these analytics. So like it does, like they weren't building teams with like the analytics in mind, but it's giving you the same data, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like the big thing with it's going to be interesting. And I'm hypocritical, which, because, you know, I'm a Celtics fan. I am an optimist at the end of the day, but we were all very low on the Celtics last season. Like we try to be objective to a degree. We're homers, obviously, but we thought the Celtics were going to win like 40 games last season. So like we're trying to call it to a degree how we see it. And the big thing with Jaylen is the turnovers. And I've kind of said coming out of the playoff series, like, fuck, we've gotten so Missoula ball-y. We're turning into the Maury ball team. And, well, we're going to find out if that's a good or a bad thing, because they're going to be cranking it up. And Jaylen was the one guy that didn't fit into that. And part of that's the 3-point rate. But I think what people that hate the Missoula ball stuff miss is it's not just the 3-point rate. It's defense. Like the Celtics have a top 5 defense every season.
Yep.
And Jaylen has been, ironically, you look at the on-offs, it's actually the offense maintains, which is surprising, but it's the defense that always gets better with him off the court. And that's just been consistently, like the on-ball defense at his peak is real. Look at the 2024 NBA Finals. That waxes and wanes. Like he doesn't play with that level of impact on ball consistently. Look what happened in the playoffs. Maxey, Paul George frying him. But the off-ball defense is more important than on-ball defense, or at least equally as important as on-ball defense. You kind of have sieves out there on the ball, obviously. So that is going to be something that's not going to be there. You're replacing Jaylen's defensive minutes with Ugo, Walsh, Ron Harper Jr., I saw Trey wrote a great Substack. If you're not subscribed to that, I recommend it. He's writing some great stuff on that. He compared the 2 Rockets games from last season. Both the Celtics played the Rockets when the Celtics were on back-to-backs. The first game, they got destroyed. Jaylen turned the ball over. Kevin Durant goes nuts. The next game, Jaylen's out. They play the Rockets on a back-to-back. Everyone thinks the Celtics going to get waxed. They cook the Houston Rockets, and it's the Ron Harper Jr. coming out party who locks up Kevin Durant. They're not just looking at like these big Rapham numbers that are kind of funny to look at. They're looking at like Ron Harper Jr. can guard and he rebounds. And it's like that just leads to wins.
X3 or X31739. Thank you for the super chat. Can we get a season record projection roll call in the chat? I'm at like 52, at 53, just because the East is better.
Yeah, I think I would go 50. Damn it, you fucking stolen my. I'll go slightly higher. I'll go 54, as Adam in the chat here says. Like the odds have them right now, like right in that range. The East is definitely better, so I don't think that they'll get to 56. But if they get health luck, I could see them cracking 60. Like if Richard Robinson plays his 60 games again and Paul George plays 60 games, then I could see them getting into the high 50s range. And like if so go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's an underrated factor of last season is we were absurdly healthy too, in a way we've not really been in the past. So that goes to, that 56 wins was clearly inflated because we lost in the first round to some degree. I mean, credit to them, but yeah, anyway, sorry to jump in.
I don't know. I don't even. I was like, and like another part of it is the internal development. And maybe that's the segue. And I think we're going to be going over time today. But sorry, Ben. But like Ron Harper Jr. And just for the pure enjoyment, man. Like coming out of last season, we had entered the Cavs zone, and maybe we're still in the Cavs zone to fans now, but it's like the defending champs. We won 61 games. We were heavy favorites going in against the Knicks. And I think that series is explainable. But at the end of the day, they had 2 20-point leads and they blew them. But Jaylen was injured. KP was ill with something. Tatum obviously tore his Achilles. Drew had like the hamstring thing. Hauser hurt his ankle in game 1 of that series. Like they were decimated. But then this season, they come in. They are like East favorites. Betting wise, coming to the playoffs, they're up 3-1 and they blow it. Now it doesn't matter it didn't matter what they did. Jaylen and Jayson come back. Didn't matter what they did in the regular season. It was going to be like, show me it in the playoffs. Now it's like, we've got a runway for all these guys. Ugo, Baylor, yes, still. He is still in his 3rd year, but he is older than me. Ugo, Walsh, Senak, Amari Williams, like there is this pipeline now. The team, while they got older in Paul George, like Ugo's 20, Senak's 19, Ron Harper Jr. is 24, Cater's 26, Baylor's 26, Walsh 21. Like they are young, and there is a runway for all these young guys to get minutes.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I mean, we might as well just roll into Chris Senak, right?
Let's do it.
So most of you probably already know this. I'm a West Virginia fan. So Big 12, best basketball conference in college basketball. So Houston, always one of the best teams in the Big 12. So they're one of the teams I actually watch fairly often and they play WVU twice a year. So I always catch them at least twice, but quite a bit more as well. And including, I think I watched most of their at least first 2 NCAA games. So I have watched a lot of Chris Senak. I was actually really interested in him coming into the season. I listened to a Vicini podcast, and this guy's like 6'10", 6'11". The thinking was like he's a 5 with 4 skills. Then he gets to Houston and he looks like a 4 with 5 skills, right? And it just like looked pretty like clunky and uncomfortable. And I think the thing with Senak is he probably was like the point forward for his high school career. And then he got to college and like, oh no, I can't dribble against these guys. So I need to like change who I am as a basketball player. And at 18, 19, that can be tough to do. So he had a really up and down season. That said, the physical gifts, the physical tools are crazy. Like he is 6'11". He has absolutely the potential to be a switchable center. Like, this is like top 1 percentile outcome, but he could be like a Bam type defensive player. That's how well he moves on the defensive end. Rim protection needs some work. It is not very good right now. He doesn't really know how to be there or where to get there, but also Houston had like JoJo Tugler and other guys who.
So that's the big thing, right? Like,
yeah.
So you keep going. You keep going.
No. Jump in, please.
Well, like, so he was asked to be the 4 for most of the season, and he I don't think he's a 4. Like, watching the highlights, and I watched Nick NBA's scouting breakdown as well. It's like both on offense and defense. So like the rim protection stuff, it would have been interesting to see what he looked like just in a normal big man role. And he's going to be asked to be a big, not a big wing in the NBA.
Yeah, he needs to get Luke Cornetified. When the Celtics brought in Luke Cornett, they were like, stop shooting threes, set screens, roll to the rim, offensive rebound, make short roll passes. And I think if Senak buys into that, I see like, dude, you don't go to Houston and go to Kelvin Sampson's team if you are not willing to play a role. Like he makes these dudes who are like 5-star recruits. And it's like, okay, you're getting 18 minutes a night. You're taking 2 threes a game and you need to defend your ass off. And that's it. Right. So like I certainly see nothing to think he won't do that. And I think he kind of settled into what he was asked to do. I just don't think it was a very good match for his skill set. So for that reason, he dropped. I thought he was going to go in like the late teens, mid, like early 20s at worst. Getting him at 27, I think, given the potential upside and the fact that if he just played the 5 for like Kentucky all season, maybe he's a top 15 guy. Because exactly to your point that when he's asked to do just the big man stuff, I think it looks really, really interesting. He loves a midi, does not
Yes,
get a
he
lot
does.
of shots. He loves a midi, and he's like, okay-ish at him. And I think he might need that shot in the NBA, at least early, before he's comfortable, like taking a dribble or two, getting to the rim or finding a pass. So I think that'll be a nice little pet shot for him to like be comfortable. Like, okay, if I'm in the short roll, I can always just get to my midi and I'll be okay. Like the finishing, the efficiency, like not incredible, but again, like Houston, like Kingston Fleming's I'm super high on because Houston's spacing was dog shit, and like the way he created plays and got to the rim. He took too many floaters, but that's mostly because he's got Sinak and JoJo Tugler down there messing up the spacing. So like Tugler's just always in Chris Sinak's way. Like they're having other people set screens for Kingston Flemings, not Chris Sinak Jr. Like if Sinak was just setting like 35 screens a game, rolling to the rim 25 times a game, like I really think we'd be talking about a guy who's not available for the Celtics pick. So there's a lot of risk here because the flip side is like, well, we didn't really see all that in college. So like maybe he's just not good at it. And that's why he didn't, or, you know, not that he's not good at it, but maybe he's not NBA level good at it. And that's why he wasn't asked to do it. So there's some risk here, but I don't know, man, like the upside, the athleticism and the potential like role correction to me makes me think this dude could be an absolute steal at 27.
Also, here's the thing at pick 27, swing for the fences.
Exactly.
Like I when the draft was happening, people wanted Visar. I remember I'm like, what are we like? And obviously we've talked about Filipowski and Kalkbrenner, and you watch these playoffs and we love Luke Cornett. Dude could barely survive in the conference finals and the finals. And again, my research is YouTube highlights. I've watched Nick NBA scouting report on YouTube, which if you watch that, because he actually goes back and watches all of the games, and that helps you kind of speed through it. And then like reading the Ringer draft guide and Vicini. So I pull my information that way. So I want anyone to think that I know what I'm talking about, but that's what the draft's all about. We fuck it, we ball. Yeah. And when you're picking 27th, that's the idea, is swing. And watching the highlights and seeing the vision, the upside is like, okay, this dude's 6'10" plus. The rim protection, I think, can get there. The switchability you talked about, he was the primary defender on Debansa and did like pretty fucking well on him, like considering he went number 1 overall and is looked as like one of the best wing prospects that we've had. So, okay, some rim protection, some switchability. Now, is he going to be an elite shooter? I don't know, but the shot looks fine. The shot looks good. And the 3-point shot, he was 33% on 90 attempts. So you're talking ceiling. We're talking ceiling, stretch big, protect the rim, switch. Did we just draft Al Horford, athletic Al Horford with worse passing? Hey,
considerably worse passing.
He can't pass. Passing. He can't pass.
No, he cannot pass. His assist percentage is like 5th percentile or something like that. But
a freaky athlete, and the 7'5" wingspan. And Eric Weiss in the chat said it. Like athletes, they're building a team of super soldiers. That's the concept. Yeah,
and for you, Jake, I know you're rebounding pilled. Amongst like the sort of crop of the guys who were draft prospects this year, 71st percentile in offensive rebounding percentage for forwards, 98th percentile in defensive rebounding percentage. So he's going to be a dude who gets on the glass, and you think those are probably going to be higher if he's logging more minutes at the center spot than the sort of like pseudo power forward spot he was at. So fouls, a little bit too much. That's not ideal. That again, partially probably goes to him somewhat playing at a position as well. 2.3 fouls a game, 45th percentile, 2.3, 33rd percentile. And his block percentage, 2.6%, which is 45th percentile. So again, like the stats show you a guy who's like probably going to be an elite rebounder. He's absolutely an elite athlete considering like his size and like the way he moves on the perimeter. like that. It's special.
Yeah.
It really, really is for a guy that size. So even if it's like, hey, he's switchable and he can catch lobs, that's probably in rebounds. Like that's probably an NBA guy.
Yeah. I really see the upside. I think in the Discord yesterday, I was like, my vision right now is like, they're going to try and make him a Diabate early in his career. Like, he probably doesn't have the same level of defensive instinct, and maybe not. I don't know about them. Like Moose is just such a.
He does not have that motor. He does not have that motor.
And like I think he's got a motor, but like Diabate is in like the Ugo category of motor here. But Steven was like, kind of has some Jabari Smith. And then when he said that, I'm like the mid-range jumper, because he is comfortable kind of like cutting, catching, and like turning and fading and knocking down jumpers. Like I think they're gonna cut that completely out of his game to start with, but he'll still be working on that in the background. It's like at first it's gonna be just set screens, be in the right place, have your 7'5" arms up and rebound. And if he can do those sorts of things, then you're going to have a chance. So yeah, more fluid than Jabari. Yeah, he's already better than Jabari. That's all I'm hearing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I again, swing for the fences with 27th overall, because you've proven now that you've got the development pipeline. And we've seen the wing pipeline start to show bear its fruit with Ugo and Baylor and Walsh taking steps and Ron now. And now the big pipeline has begun. Amari Williams flashed a little bit last year. We didn't see him a ton, but Cater obviously is the shining light here of like where he was to where he is now, and where I think he still can get to. Amari now, and now Senak. It's like, okay, the pipeline is now under construction, and I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, man. And advanced stats, absolutely love him. A regularized adjusted plus minus, which I think is college basketball analytics, sort of like their stat, 97th percentile. Wins above replacement, 92nd percentile. Win shares, 96th percentile. So like, to the extent you do not like the analytics movement, this is an analytics draft pick, especially but he's not just a guy, like his counting stats are totally underwhelming. He averaged like 9 and 7 or something like that.
Dude, scouting is hard.
It's super hard.
How do you do this? Like, it's like, yeah, well, he didn't do anything we want him to do, but we think he can.
Yeah. You just gotta like find the flashes, I guess. Like, obviously I'm not doing that because I'm not just like watching a game and be like, who is that? That's a guy I'm interested in. I see the prospects people already think is good and then like go to it. And the reverse engineering it like that is so much easier. But he is an advanced stats darling, and Houston does not play you for 20 minutes a night if you do not play hard. That's
the big bit as well.
Yep. Yeah. So I love that.
So they love dimensions, and they love the personality and the mentality and the work ethic. So like, as you said, he was a top 6 recruit, I think, right? Coming into
depending on
college,
where you look, but top 10 basically everywhere. Yeah.
Elite recruit, could have gone anywhere, and goes to a place where, as you said, are going to basically not let him do the things that he wants to do, and essentially drop his NBA stock to a degree. And it's like Brad Stevens sees the tools as a guy that's willing to be coachable. Because if you think you have the best coaches, then you bring in guys that have the tools and are coachable. So I'm excited to see, like, the summer league team is intriguing now. Should we move to Dylan Mitchell a little bit? I bet you said you don't have as many Dylan Mitchell
not
takes,
even close.
But again, I did my scouting of Dylan Mitchell. He's a fun player. Like, can't shoot to save his life.
Yeah.
The jump shot doesn't look broken. Mike Zarin says like we will make him a better shooter, but that's like the bar is below the ground. So it's like it would be, everyone gets better at shooting. So sure, but like how much better does it actually matter for him, right? But he is like we talk about tools and dimensions, he is a freaky athlete. Like you watch his highlights and he like jumps off the screen like Thompson twin type twitchiness. He's in the one stat that I really loved is the assist to usage ratio, because he didn't have the ball a lot, but 99th percentile in that category, which according to Carl J. Mann is a telling indicator of offensive processing speed and feel. And going back to like the broader Missoula ball philosophy, and like Jaylen Brown was the one guy who really didn't fit into this processing category, right? So bringing guys that are cut, they cut, that make decisions. And so like he knows that he can't shoot, and the ball gets swung to him. He like gives it back and like sprints into a screen to allow a shooter to like come over his screen, have a ton of space to either hit a pull-up three or to attack a ton of space and get downhill. Yeah, like he's obviously like another just like lottery ticket. You never like I don't really see peak upside for him. Like the upside for him is just like he's an elite defender, and regular season wise you can see it, but maybe he helps you in like some small ball lineups. He's not especially huge, but just the rebounding, the defensive intensity. He reminded me of Hugo watching him, and how kind of like psychotic some of the plays were. Like he'd start on a certain part of the screen, come round for a weak side block, and it's like, well, at minimum, I think he'll be really fun to watch at Summer League.
He is going to be awesome to watch at Summer League. He's like 6'7". He averaged, like 8, 7 and 3. So I think the passing is what's interesting about him on the offensive end. Yeah. And the quick processing. They had him as the screener pretty often, like operating out of the short roll. And I think that's really the only viable role for him in an NBA offense, at least for now, because if you pop him in the corner, like maybe you can get duck-ins, but he's just going to get completely and utterly ignored. And it's hard to, utilize your passing if like the defense isn't in rotation, because your defender is like mucking everything up on the weak side. Right. So I think you could use him as sort of a short roll guy. Here's the problem. That's a crazy comment from Zarin. He shot 39% from the line last year. And then this most recent season, 49% from the line. Like that is like, he's just a total utter non-shooter. Like it would be like, we expect Mitchell Robinson to start shooting threes. Like that's what we're talking about with this guy right now. Like, I just don't see where, like, you need to like Ugo. It's one thing to be like, we can teach this guy how to shoot. His indicators are like this dude would have to take like a miracle level of progression to be the shooter where Ugo is right now. And you just can't survive as like a 3 and really a 4 in the modern NBA if you are that bad of a shooter. But, him and Garza make some sense on the offensive end together and like some bench lineups. So maybe that's kind of the vision. But yeah, the defense, the rebounding, the feel, the passing, like it makes sense why, we would be interested in him. I just have some concern that the shooting is at such a ridiculously low level that it's just going to undermine him as like any type of NBA player.
Again, so we're talking, what did we pick? It was pick 40. And so
whatever.
But like a great outcome for him is like regular season, he helps you play defense. And so like when you think about what they're trying to do, right? The low turnovers and to assist stuff, he fits into that by being a really smart player, the defensive intensity and the rebounding. So it's like, you don't have to be, it's funny. It's all about shooting. Well, he can't shoot. They drafted him. I couldn't find the exact comment about Zarin's shooting, because I want to say, like you said, he can improve. Well, anyone can improve. Does he think that he can actually become a shooter? Is a bit of a different one. But yeah, if he turns into someone that like can be just an elite defender, like Asar Thompson. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to be Asar Thompson, because Asar Thompson's fucking 6'9". Like that's what makes them special. But if you can be a hyper athlete, defend and read the game, be basically short Ben Simmons, could be pretty good.
I mean, there's guys in the NBA who play real minutes that kind of fit in this archetype, right? It's just
Murray Boyles can't shoot either.
Yeah, I just think that it's a lot easier to find your role in the NBA if you can shoot it a little bit, So, but he has all the tools to be that type of guy who does figure out a role, just because he's basically good at just about everything else that you'd want out of this kind of like weird, slightly undersized four-man. So he's an interesting pick. And again, he is fucking awesome athletically. Like it's going to be, you're not kidding. Like some of the dunks he's going to throw down in summer league are going to get us out of our seat. So, all right, Jake, I should probably wrap it up here. That was a lot of fun.
It's good to have you back. There's some built up takes in there. So
hell yeah.
Tomorrow, I know me and Ben are going to pod. Obviously Spoonie's welcome, but I don't know how his availability is, but we're going to do the Brad presser. And this is one of the most anticipated Brad Stevens press conferences ever. I think outside of the first one where he moved from coach to maybe the firing Ime one was
That's a good shout, dude.
Was up there as well. The firing Ime and the trading Jaylen Brown press conferences. But yeah, I don't think you're going to get a ton from Brad. He's going to say, we love Jaylen. I was really sad. I wouldn't be surprised if Brad cries a little bit. And then he says, I think Paul George is going to be really good. And I think that the team's going to be really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. That is going to do it for this one. It is very good to be back. Go USA. Sorry about Australia, Jake. I was pulling for you guys. I have them in my pool, but it is what it is. They played well.
They did.
But anyway, all right. Go USA. Let's win. Let's win the World Cup. We are out. That's going to do it for this one. Peace.